This 12-tone piece uses only 3 different forms of its series. P6, heard 4 times, RP7, and I5. The 2 hexachords of the series are complementary, of course, but they are not related by transposition or inversion. They are, however, related by M5. That's the so-called circle of fourths transformation, which turns semitones into perfect fourths and vice versa. In P6, the first hexachord can be divided into 2 0-3-7s, an F-sharp major triad and a G major triad. These triads are related at T1. The second hexachord can be divided into 2 0-1-4s, F A flat A and C E flat E. These 0-1-4s are related at T5. So between these hexachords, the 0-3-7s become 0-1-4s. Both sets contain intervals 3 and 4. And the 5 within 0-3-7 has become the 1 within 0-1-4. That's the M5 transformation at work. At the same time, the T1 that connects the 0-3-7 in the first hexachord has become the T5 that connects the 0-1-4 in the second hexachord. Again, the M5 transformation at work. This way of dividing up the series into hexachords and the hexachords into T-related trichords is frequently overt throughout the piece, especially at the beginning and end. In the first measure, for example, we hear F-sharp major in the outer voices and G major in the inner voices. 2 major triads a semitone apart. Then we hear F A flat A on top and C E flat E on the bottom. 2 0-1-4s related by T5. This continues throughout. In the final measures, we hear 2 minor triads, B flat minor and A minor, related at T1. Then, at the very end, 2 0-1-4s, D E flat F sharp and G A flat B, related at T5. There is a large-scale oscillation between the 037 dominated hexachord and the 014 dominated hexachord. But both of these trichords have an independent life in the piece, penetrating into space nominally occupied by the complementary hexachord. The opening phrase, for example, can be interpreted as a network either of 037 or 014. Let's take these two possibilities one at a time, starting with the network of 014. The trichords are connected locally by common tone-preserving contextual inversions arranged as an RI chain. If we think of the phrase as beginning with F sharp, G, B flat, it chains to G, B flat, B, then B flat, B, D, then B flat, C sharp, D. Adjacent links in the chain are related by inversion and share two notes in common. The resulting transpositions are T4 and T3, while T7 connects this RI chain to the rest of the phrase. These intervals of transposition between 014s are the same intervals that make up 037, 3, 4, and 7. Here's the opening as a network of 014. Now, let's look at the same passage again from the point of view of 037. The trichords are again connected locally by common tone-preserving contextual inversions arranged as an RI chain. If we think of the phrase as beginning with F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, it chains to B, D, F sharp, then G, B, D, then G, B flat, D. The second half begins with F, A flat, C, which chains to F, A, C, then A, C, E, then by slide transformation to A flat, C, E flat. The resulting transpositions are T1, T4, and T3. Just as the 014s were connected by the intervals of 037, these intervals of transposition between 037s are the same intervals that make up 014, namely T1, T4, and T3. Here's the opening again, now as a network of 037. While this piece oscillates between hexachords dominated by 014 and 037, each hexachord is intertwined with the trichord of the other. The network of 014 is held together by transpositions at the intervals of 0, 3, 7, while the network of 0, 3, 7 is likewise held together by transpositions at the intervals of 0, 1, 4. The opening phrase, just 13 notes, but two different interpretations. We've considered the hexachords and trichords. Now let's go back to the series and consider individual tones and intervals. The three series forms share common segments of various lengths, particularly P7 and I5. They all also begin and end on F, F sharp, or G. These first and last tones of each series are often salient in the music, especially at the beginnings and endings of phrases. Furthermore, the only note in the piece not clearly accounted for as part of one of these series is the sforzando F sharp in measure 12. Let's listen again, this time focusing on these boundary notes. These boundary notes, F, F sharp, and G, not only mark the phrases of the piece, but they are often heard in close proximity to each other, especially F, F sharp and F sharp G. These are only the most prominent of a network of semitones that permeates the piece. Within the series, every note other than C is connected by semitone to an adjacent note, and the semitones are connected only by 3 or 9, or 5 or 7. The first hexachord of the series, like any member of 0, 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, can be divided into two consonant triads. Passages based on it can be thought of in two complementary ways, either as two 037s transposed by semitone, a relationship we already discussed, or as three semitones transposed by the intervals of 037, namely T3, T4, and T7. The latter is what we find here. The semitones are prominent in the music and can be gathered into networks in which a semitone, 0, 1, is transposed by the intervals of a consonant triad, 0, 3, 7, T3, T4, and T7. In measures 12 through 13, for example, we hear D, E flat, then C, B, then G, A flat, 3 semitones connected by T3, T4, and T7. Then we hear Fe, C-sharp C, then A-B flat. Again, 3 semitones connected by T3, T4, and T7. Previously, we considered how the 12-tone series is divided into hexachords, and hexachords into trichords, and trichords into intervals. Now, we get a hint of the process in reverse, as intervals combine to form trichords and hexachords, and ultimately 12-tone aggregates.